All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Jordan Anderson here, and welcome to today's episode. Today, we are going to be talking about the wedding planner versus the wedding photographer. So I just had a phone call, podcast episode earlier today with a wedding planner. I wanted to kind of share with you a little bit of info from that and kind of my perspective on the relationship between a wedding photographer and a wedding planner, because I think this possibly is the most symbiotic relationship you could ever have as a wedding photographer. If you are able to find a wedding planner out there that you are genuinely friends with, then they could possibly be the 30, 40, 50%, hell, even 60, 70% of your business leads that come in. So we have to discuss this. We have to kind of go into it. So let me switch over to our beautiful slides here. And if this is the first time you're watching, my name is Jordan Anderson. I'm a pricing coach for wedding photographers. You can head over to theperfectweddingpackage.com to check out the perfect wedding package and enroll today. But let's kind of dive into it. So the wedding planner versus photographer. Okay, so the question of tonight that we have to answer is, should you pursue leads from wedding planners? Is this a relationship worth it? Is this something you should actually pursue for your specific life and your specific stage of your career as a wedding photographer? Today, the lesson plan is going to be, number one, we're talking about the gatekeeping of wedding planning. Number two, the pricing squeeze, and we'll talk about that here in a second. And at the very end, we're going to talk about getting your big break. So stick around to the very end. Let's start with first, lesson number one, gatekeeping. So wedding planners work for their clients. It's an obvious statement. Of course, Jordan, they work for their clients. Wedding planners are there wedding planners are helpful. They're resourceful people. They are not necessarily there to help you, the wedding photographer. They are there to make sure everything is perfect for their client, because their client is paying them money the same way your client is paying you money to do a great job. So there becomes this kind of priority, not a kind of, it doesn't go out of balance, but the priority, a wedding planner will always do what's best for their client. And you may feel like it's unfair, you may feel like they're being rude, you may feel like they're being short with you, but they are doing everything in their power to make sure that their client has the best possible experience that they can pull off. That is their number one goal. They protect the client in a lot of ways. So when I say they protect the client, they are a client, because let's understand the kind of relationship between a wedding planner and the client, the bride, the groom. They're there to, a wedding planner is there to protect the client in a way that I'm getting married, I have enough money now where I can just hire a planner and say, hey, there are a lot of decisions with the wedding planning process. There's a lot of decisions with designing this wedding. I don't want to have to make every single decision. And in fact, I actually want someone to go out and find all the major decisions that need to be made, bring them to me, and for me to choose and say, yes, I like this, I don't like this, I approve of this, I disapprove of this. It's the relationship between time and money. If you have a lot of time on your hands, you may not need a wedding planner. But if you have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of time, you can say, I'm going to hire a wedding planner and go out and find me all these resources. And that's what a wedding planner does. They go and find other venues, they find vendors, the DJ, the photographer, the videographer, the catering company. They're going to go out and find all of that. And sometimes they have their own vendors list. If they're new to the game, maybe they're a new wedding planner, then they're going to go out and start to solicit and find different leads, find maybe different quotes, get a couple, hey, what's your prices? They're going to kind of go shopping around for the client. And we'll talk about why that is. Stick around, because we're going to talk about why that might be a little bit damaging to you as the photographer. So they protect the client, but they also advise the client. So the same way, I was like, I couldn't think of a better metaphor for this, but it's almost like, the king, think like old time, like the king in the court, and you have all your courtiers around you. You have all the politicians around the king, or not the servants. I don't know what you call it. The courtiers. Yeah, the people of the court. They would walk around and they want to make some kind of political move, if they want to influence somebody, discourage this action, encourage this action, they kind of have that power, and it becomes really political. They whisper in the ear of the king to say, I think you should go with this. I think this is the right move to do. So when I say they advise the client, they in a lot of ways have this kind of gatekeeping ability where they're almost like a casting director of a film. You are, the film director does not see every single actor that comes through the casting line, that comes through auditions. That is for the casting director. The casting director screens through all the bad auditions, finds the good auditions, and then takes all the good auditions, bundles them up, and puts them in front of the film director and says, hey, do you like any of these? Or which you choose out of the curation that I've chosen. So they can advise the client, and they can say, hey, this wedding photographer, I don't know about this wedding photographer, but I do like this wedding photographer. And so it gets a little bit of favoritism, it gets a little bit of political, there are some politics involved with this. So they can very much control your, that's what's kind of frustrating about this relationship with a wedding planner versus a photographer, that they can control if your name is even shown to the client. You may be just as qualified. They may even like you. Maybe the bride has heard of your work before. Maybe they have a small list of but the planner has gone and made their own list of photographers and puts it in front of the client and says, these are the ones you have to choose from. Or based on your budget, you have to choose one of these 3 photographers. Now and it's like, if you don't make this choice, then we have to go to the rest of the wedding budget and start to dismantle something else, or make the catering smaller, or make something else smaller, take some kind of money out of those other quote-unquote departments and put it into the wedding photography department. So yes, it can get very political very fast. So a question for you, what do you do if you have little to no experience? Like, maybe you haven't made a name for yourself, so how would a wedding planner even know your name? How would they how would they see your work? If you have little to no experience, and let's say maybe you're really good at marketing, I would still say for this moment in time, if you have little to no experience, back away a little bit from pursuing the wedding planner. Because the wedding planner is going to go with who they know, they're going to go with who they trust, and they're also going to go with someone, if they don't know this person or don't trust this person, they're at least going to fall back on, okay, this person has past experience, or this person has, this person has a few weddings under their belt, at least a dozen weddings under their belt, whatever the number is, but they have something going for themselves. If you have little to no experience and it's a little bit amateur hour for you, and it's okay. We're all learning. It's very natural that you start from nothing and you just kind of get bigger and bigger and bigger, find bigger and bigger weddings. So a wedding planner, they're going to kind of second guess you. And this is where it can get a little frustrating if you don't have any experience. You might say, like, you might feel antagonistic against wedding planners that are just like, I don't like this, I don't like them, they don't call my name, they don't keep me in mind, they never hire me. So yeah, if you don't have any experience, you might be drawing a couple red flags. So at this point, stay away from it. So let's move on now to lesson number 2, and that's the price squeeze. So if you are still, if you're a young wedding photographer listening to this, stick around for the very end. Trust me. The lesson 2, the price squeeze. Okay, what do you mean? What are you talking about, Jordan? The price squeeze. Middlemen have the authority to choose, but they lack the authority of the purse. A very old word, the purse. What is this? The Constitution, Jordan? The middleman. Wedding planners are middlemen. They're middle managers. They are standing in between you and the person you actually want to talk to. You want to actually talk to the client. If you are shooting, this happens all the time in the corporate world. If you're going to shoot a marketing video or do a photo spread or something, and you end up talking to a middle manager, that middle manager has found you, and this is what I mean, they have the authority to choose. They have found you, and they've collected a couple other photographers, they've put you on a list, and they say, okay, give me a quote, and then I'm going to go get a couple other quotes from 4 other photographers. So now there's 5 of you. So now they have the power to choose, and they start to lean towards you. They want to choose you, and then you try to ask a little bit more about the budget, or see if you can squeeze any more money into the budget, and then they act very either defensive or just like, oh, I have no idea. I can't do anything about this. I'm sorry. This is the budget that we have to deal with. That's the same kind of scenario you're finding with wedding planners. Wedding planners it's not their money, it's the client's money. And the client, and in order to keep, they manage the budget, but they don't control the budget. And when I say control, I mean they don't have the ability to expand it or contract the budget. They can reallocate funds, but the further and further you get into the wedding planning process down the timeline, the less wiggle room you have to like shift some money around. Me as a wedding videographer, I know this very well, that the wedding videographer is usually last in line, and they go, oh, the call was always, oh, hey, my daddy gave me an extra $5,000, or we actually found some money in the budget. We can now actually afford a wedding videographer. What can you do for us? Can you? Well, that was always my situation. Where am I going with this? So they lack the power okay, where am I going with this? Let me just move on to the next slide. How do we communicate value? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like when you're talking to a middle manager, they don't see value. They don't see you can express like the emotional side to this, or express the beauty of the work that you do, or the incredible experience that you provide. To a middle manager, you are just, can you complete this task? Can you complete this task for this amount of money at this time? That's all they care about. Middle managers, when you try to sell value, you're walking into, it's just like you're just down it's like a dark void. Like it's an endless hallway. You're just like, you're never gonna get there. You always think you're gonna get there. You're gonna talk value. You're gonna talk about all the benefits that you have with your services and how perfectly packaged your work is. But they don't care. So the question is, how do you communicate that value? And it's tough. It is extremely tough to communicate that value with a wedding planner, because they control the sales process. And a lot of times they can say, look, okay, you're one of 3 that I have on my list, wedding photographer. My client, they are kind of in the range for this. They're kind of in the budget range for this. Can you just send us over a price sheet? Can you just send us over your work, or like how much it's going to cost, or give me a quote, or give me a range, and then we'll get back to you. That means now you are replaceable. That means now it doesn't really matter about like the work you do. It really just becomes back down to, now we're in the back to price shopping world, where if you don't say the right number to this wedding planner, no matter how good your work is, it's like you could say the wrong number and just be a little bit out of their budget range, and they're not really going to see the value of it unless the client is really adamant that they want you. It's just like, okay, our budget is $5,000 to $7,000. He said $8,000. That's out of our budget. Sorry, we can't. We got to move on. We got to move on to photographer number 2. Like that's what I mean. Like you are replaceable in that process. So when you don't have control of the sales process, when you can't set up the client meeting, when you can't set up the client phone call, you can't build the rapport, build the relationship, because a lot of the value that we sell is the relationship that we build. It's not so much about I'm going to do task 1, 2, and 3 for you and complete it at this time and complete it within an hour. It's like, that's not what we do. That's not what we sell. We sell an experience. We sell the emotion from all this, the memories that that are long-lasting, lifelong memories from this. We don't sell just tasks 1, 2, and 3. But from a wedding planner's perspective, that's what they're aimed at. Can you complete this task? My client needs someone that can complete this task 1, 2, and 3 at this time. So the question for that section is, do you play ball with that? Do you kind of give up your sales process? Do you give up the ability to control your prices? Do you give up the ability to kind of set a custom budget range? And do you just kind of it's almost like you're settling a little bit. Like, do you because the advantage is that if you get in with this wedding photographer, or if you get in with this wedding planner, that they might hire you again, or that you might get on some kind of preferred vendors list. And the idea is like, okay, I might not be able to make an exorbitant amount of money or a huge profit from this, but at least this is consistent work. And I'm looking for consistent work because more work leads to more work. I can use the network from the wedding planner, but I can also use the network from every single bride that I work with. So yeah, that's kind of question. It's this for me. This kind of question was almost like it's kind of like, do you do government work? Do you, if you're in the kind of marketing world, do you go out and pursue government work and do like the procurement process? Like, yes, it's boring. Yes, it's arduous. Yes, you have to follow certain forms and factors, and it's not creatively fulfilling, but it's consistent, and it's possibly could lead to like lifelong work because they will always keep you on the same vendor list. Do you play ball with them? I'll answer that at the end of the video. Lesson number 3, getting your big break. Okay, so you have now gotten hired by a wedding planner. Wedding planner likes your work. They consulted with the client. Client likes your work too. You're in the budget range, and they say, great, we're going to hire you. When do we start? Can you sign the contract? Let's get it on the road. Here we go. You have been hired. Now it's your time to shine. This is the moment. And I don't mean the day of. I mean the moment you get hired, you need to start building a genuine relationship. Don't send flowers. It's not you in your personality, so write a thank you note. Don't write a thank you note. Don't suck up to these wedding planners. They don't want to be sucked up to. They're busy enough as it is. Just be genuine. Just start to naturally try to build a relationship with them. Ask questions. From the conversation I had on the podcast, I believe now that there is a planner out there for every photographer. You're going to run into, at every wedding that you're ever going to be at, there is probably going to be a planner, there's probably going to be a day of coordinator, and not all of them are for you. You're going to get discouraged and be like, man, I didn't get along with that wedding planner, or wow, that wedding planner was really stressed out and didn't really give me a time of day to talk or get to know her. Don't stress out. It's okay. There is a wedding planner out there for every photographer, and it just, maybe you haven't found yours. Maybe you just need to go to a couple more weddings and talk with the wedding planner, get to know them, and don't just wait for the day of wedding to start to get to know the wedding planner. Start way early on in the process. If you're trying to get, I made that mistake so much. I would try to get to know all the vendors on the day of the wedding, and it's like, dude, we don't have time to talk, dude. I'm so freaking busy. This bride and groom are up my ass about this, and we're already 37 minutes behind schedule on this timeline. I gotta go, dog. I can't talk and chit chat and tell me about like where I went to college. So early on in the process, once you get hired, once the contract has been signed and all that, start to build a genuine relationship. Don't force it. Don't just make it strictly a business relationship. Actually, if it makes sense to be friends with them. Don't just hold back and say like, oh, let's keep it strictly business. Like, the wedding planning world, the wedding world is an odd world. You work on Saturdays, you work on the weekends. Your days off are Monday and Tuesday. I remember that all the time. It was, my wife and I would go to the mall. We'd go to the movie theaters on Monday and Tuesday because there's nothing to do. So Mondays and Tuesdays, maybe go hang out with a wedding planner. Maybe go hang out with the assistants to the wedding planners and like try to get to know all the people that work at the wedding planning company and genuinely and seriously be friends with them. Don't try to just play politics and like try to weasel your way into the thrones of power. So between the day of, but here, let me give some like hardcore quick tips right there. Between the hiring and the day of the wedding, you need to, 1, respond immediately. This could be the make or break, and I should have, maybe this is probably before you even get hired too. Respond immediately. Client calls you, client sends you an email, the wedding planner calls you, the wedding planner sends you an email. Respond immediately. I know you're going to have like these autoresponders that say, okay, my policy is I respond in 24 to 48 hours. Hope to talk to you soon. I cannot wait to make your magical experience that much more magical. Respond immediately. If they give you a call, if they send you an email, respond immediately, because Brides, sometimes they just shop like they shop on Amazon. They just do. I want to see this product, swipe. I want to see this product, swipe. I want to see this product, swipe. So the same thing with, you think you're the only tab open of wedding photographers on their browser. They got you, they got 6 other wedding photographers in your area, and they click contact now, they click contact to you, and they send you a little message, and you go, oh, I'm going to wait 48 hours because I want to look cool, or I'm busy right now. Respond immediately. Have your notifications on, turn your freaking phone on, turn the volume up, and respond. Number 2, over-communicate. I talked about this in a video a while back, maybe a month or 2 back now. The over-communication is key. If you feel uncertain about something, if you want to ask who the florist is, if you want to ask what the style is, if you want to ask what their inclinations are in terms of posing and style and other examples, ask questions. When it comes to the wedding planner, ask questions. What is the timeline? Can you send me the timeline ahead of time? Where should I park? What's the deal with the venue? What's the deal with the caterer? What are you expecting from me? Ask those kind of questions. Over communicate. Tell the planner what you intend to do, and ask them what they want, what their intentions are. Put everything on the table. Number 3, ask questions if you have questions, but if you're new to the game, and this is tricky advice. It's a duality to this. You have to ask questions. If you don't know something, ask questions. I said this in how to become a production assistant, how to become a PA. That number 1 question, that number 1 tip I have in that video is ask questions. Don't pretend like you know what's going on if you don't know what's going on. Because there's nothing worse than pretending like you know what's going on, letting the thing go wrong, and then being like, I didn't know, or I was like, I didn't want to ask questions, or I didn't want to bother anybody. Y'all seem really busy or really stressed out. I didn't want to ask questions. Ask questions. If you're unsure about something, what time something is, when the sunset is, when the sunrise is, ask those questions. Are we doing a sparkler send-off? What is a sparkler send-off? You can ask questions, but don't ask questions that make people nervous. Don't ask questions that say like, I'm trying to think of like rookie, inexperienced questions right now. I'm blanking on the spot right now, but you know the rookie dumb questions that you might ask or have asked in the past, and don't ask them. Keep them to yourself. Or ask the assistant. Don't ask the main planner. And finally, dress the part. Dress the part, act the part. I suck at this. I will say I suck at this. To dress the part and act the part. When you're a wedding photographer, my tendency, and me as a wedding videographer too, I would always dress in show blacks. Black polo, black v-neck, black jeans, black shoes, all black. It makes sense. You look like a waiter, you look like a stagehand, you look like a production assistant, whoever. It is very tempting to do that. But when you are a wedding photographer and you want to get some word of mouth, you want to get some referrals, you want to go get, who is that guy? Look at that guy. Dress up. Look the part. Wear a suit if you're a guy. Or a girl. Wear a suit. Wear a tie. Wear a funky bow tie. Wear some kind of conversation piece on you. Wear a bright lime suit. Whatever it is that fits your brand, fits your personality, or doesn't fit your personality, but fits the personality that you want to be, wear that. Wear it, look good, make a statement, look like a wedding guest with 6 cameras on them. That's all you got to look like. And be like, damn, that person is legit. Or like, it was always those were always the most memorable wedding photographers. The ones that showed up in all black, the ones that showed up in just like, whatever, no rips at Old Navy or whatever, but just kind of like very basic stuff, or like the kind of like attitude, like I'd rather be comfortable than look good. You're at a wedding, you're at a formal event. Look good, act like you know what you're doing, because it's attractive. Confidence is attractive, and when you exude that confidence, sometimes what you wear makes you more confident, and therefore you exude more confidence, and then it makes you more confident. It's kind of a nice positive feedback loop. At the wedding, you are there to impress 2 people, and it's not the bride and the groom. You are there to impress the wedding venue and the wedding planner. You're on your best behavior, you're working your ass off, you're asking questions, you're looking the part, you're acting the part, you're acting confident, ask questions, start to form those genuine relationships. Maybe this is the time that you get to know the venue a little bit more. Maybe the owner, maybe the coordinator, maybe the event director, the locations manager, whoever that is that works at that venue. Start to get to know them, and of course, now that you've kind of built up the relationship leading up to the wedding, ask questions. You know this wedding planner now, so now you get to show your stuff in action and kind of show them that you know what you're doing. You get along with the wedding planner, and you're adhering to their timeline. You're making their lives easier. You're not taking up too much time because I got to get this shot, and I don't care that we're 7 minutes over time. I got to get this damn shot. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be that asshole. Just work hard, work your ass off, act confident, and get along with these people, and try to form some nice friendships and have a good time. Damn it. Could lead to, this is my final, of course, because I'm like finishing my own sentences. This could lead to long and happy working relationships. And I've said earlier, let me kind of reiterate, you actually want to form genuine friendships with these people. I say, you're going to form business relationships with a lot of these people as well, but a business relationship, or a very friendly business relationship, or kind of like I'll scratch my back, you scratch yours. No, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. That kind of relationship. It is very fragile, a little bit brittle. It's nice. It's genuine. It's not fake, but if left unfettered, what's the word? If left kind of untended, or you don't put any water on the plant, it kind of easily dies. Whereas if you actually have a friendship with these people and you know them, and hey, oh yes, Kyle and Sarah are going to be there. Oh yeah, great. I know. I've done 5 weddings with them. They're great. That's where it starts to become fun, genuine, and that's where you can start to possibly get on that preferred vendors list. Never ask to be on the preferred vendors list. You're never, you don't ask your way onto the list. You get on the list, baby. So let's recap. Let's recap, folks. Okay, so the question, should you pursue leads from wedding planners? I would say yes, but if you are less than 2 years experience, you shouldn't pursue them. But if you are less than 2 years experience, know that you will have to soon. When you get that experience, you don't have an excuse anymore as to why you aren't friends with a wedding planner, or why you haven't got on a vendor's list, or why you haven't started to build those relationships. If I ask someone hey, this is my first wedding, or hey, this is my first year into wedding shoot photography, or this is my second year into wedding photography, that's fine. If you don't know any wedding planners, or you haven't really had any kind of serious one-on-ones with the wedding planner, I get it. That's totally fine. But know that the older you get, the more experience you have, the further along you get into this game, you need to start building these relationships with these wedding planners. Get familiar with these names, understand who's in the game, who's number 1, who's number 2, start to build those relationships. Understand, ask questions, whatever. If you have a wedding planning podcast, if you have a wedding photography podcast, bring them on your show. Talk to them, email them, DM them, do a live screen, Instagram TV, dual screen, whatever. But know that you have no excuse. After 2 years, you have no excuse. So if you have more than and then finally, if you have more than 2 years experience, find your planner. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Jordan Anderson. I hope this was an enjoyable episode. I hope you learned a lot. And I'll see you guys.